Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one gone, and another one gone. Another one bites the dust. Yeah. Does that star spangled banner?
Sorry, y'all. I had to. Listen, okay, this is not a joking story. It's really not, and I hate myself because that was just too. Listen, okay, I had to give y'all a little bit of humor with that one because if they ever, Fergie is trolling. Seriously, have y'all ever noticed anybody trolling on that level? I can't. Anyway. Okay, sorry, y'all. I had to. I'm gonna get serious. I'm serious now. Okay. I'm serious, but I had to. So, anyway, in other news, I wanted to come on here and talk about white supremacy imploding on itself because let me just bring that down a little bit. That was hilarious. Y'all, ain't that like, did y'all hear that? And the fact that she actually went out there, I can't. Let me just try to do it one more time. Sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. I had to. Okay. I'm stupid. Anyways, I'm trolling now. So, anyway, I want to come on here and talk about white supremacy. Anyway, y'all, I'm gonna stop. I gotta get it together, but that is just too funny. Anyway, I wanted to come on here and talk about white supremacy imploding on itself because listen, white supremacy comes with a price, and I've talked about this many times, and I'll talk about it again. According to Google and all of my research and a number of different white scientists and anthropologists, there is nothing beneficial biologically about being white. I want to continuously reinforce that point because that is a fact that there is nothing biologically beneficial to being white. It is extreme. It's a genetic mutation. Okay, so aside from their propaganda, you know, they already know that there's no benefit to being white. They know that. They live in a system of white supremacy that tries to pass upon this myth that there's some kind of supremacy. I mean, you can look at Fergie's voice if you need to. Look at Fergie's voice, and that will tell you there's no biological benefit to being white. But in any event, a 7th grader who we already know is of the Cockling persuasion shot himself in the bathroom while school was on lockdown. Now, you should ask yourself why would the group of people who have the most privilege in this country also have the highest rate of suicide? Well, because they have to live in their own bodies. They have to live with the knowledge of their genetic mutation. They have to live in their bodies with the knowledge that there's nothing beneficial to their biology. And that's why when I asked one of those trolls on Twitter what was the benefit to being in her own body as a white woman, she couldn't mention one thing. She said she didn't know, she would need to research it. So if you have to research the benefits to your own biology, and I can tell you from the research that I've done, there are no benefits, then that says everything. So a couple of things that I want to point out before I get into this news clip, because I told you guys, you can't just look at what they're throwing out. You have to look at what is missing, the information that's missing. The information that's missing is an image of this person or any details including a name. So right there, we already know this is a Caucasoid student. You have mass shootings by white people all over the place. They refuse to acknowledge their own mental degeneracy. They want to call it mental illness. The reality is they're not out shooting up black people. They have genetic downfalls, and then they have white on white crime. So you have a bunch of them imploding. And the reason why is because they've given the myth of the supremacy. This is unchecked psychopathology. And whenever you have a history of not checking the psychopathology, then you run the risk of doing this, because a lot of people may think that this is integration, but this is segregation within a supposed integrated system. So you have white people isolating themselves, and then they're over there just being violent, killing each other, shooting themselves in a middle school bathroom. So let me go to this, and I'm not going to troll again. I'm not going to play Fergie singing, but I want to go to this news clip, and then I'll come back for some commentary.
The Florida school shooting, a local school district placed on lockdown. This is a self-inflicted gunshot in the restroom. Students requesting assistance at this middle school. Nervous and anxious parents waited outside for hours while hearing from their children barricaded inside the school.
He says, come get me in like an hour. We're in a lockdown. I don't know if it's a drill. I love you, just in case. If I go, tell everyone I love them.
Now at 4, getting answers about the 7th grader who brought a gun to school and shot himself, and the plans school leaders have moving forward.
And we continue to follow this heartbreaking story out of Jackson Township in Stark County.
Our team has been on the scene covering this all day. We start our coverage with Harry Boomer, who has more on how this incident unfolded. Harry.
Well, guys, from what we've learned, talking to the Stark County Sheriff, the Superintendent of Schools here at Jackson Memorial, and the police chief here, it's somewhere around 7:50 this morning when this young man arrived at school.
We had a young man arrive at school by bus.
Somehow, he was able to conceal a .22 caliber rifle, take it into the Jackson Memorial Middle School restroom, and shoot himself. I asked, how did he get the rifle into the school?
I do not know that for sure. As far as intentions, we do not know that at this time.
Here's a part of what is known, even as the investigation continues. There was a rumor that he had an explosive device in his backpack.
We believe what we have found to be just some distractionary type devices, but not anything that would be an explosive that would have done harm to others.
How is the early morning incident affecting school activities?
All of our buildings are closed for the remainder of this day, including all of our extracurricular activities.
Well, we have more questions and more answers coming up in my 5 o'clock report. But now, veteran reporter Paul Orlowski has been talking to concerned parents. Paul, what do they say?
And now, again, like I said, this was they're not going to identify the student because we don't need to. We don't need them to show a picture at this point. We know the profile of people who do this, just like we know the profile of serial killers, mass murderers, and rapists. So at this point, you could just go by that. But at 7:59, the student said, "We are in a lockdown. I don't know what's wrong. It's legit. It may just be a drill, whoever he's texting. No, teachers are crying. With everything going on, they may be practicing. We are hiding. There are police sirens. It's okay. Take a deep breath. Just stay hidden. I'm shaking. I know. I called dad." So this is his mom's. But they're blocking out a lot of it because then he'll identify himself. "I'm almost crying, yelling, we are in lockdown. I love you. I'm scared." It's okay, baby. It's going to be okay. We are in the supply closet room thing. Probably one of the safest places. I hope Jake's okay. He'll be okay. Just stay quiet. I got my phone out of my locker as soon as the teacher started panicking. So again, this is just, we already know who they are. We really, let's look at this second news clip. They're not going to identify him though.
Middle school down in Jackson Township.
Many parents are complaining about how long it took for them to be notified. Brittany Bivens is live in Massillon with that part of our story. Brittany.
Well, Tiffany, a lot of parents that I spoke to told me they are frustrated with the amount of time that it took them to be notified and then the amount of time it took them to get their children, with some telling me that they waited 4 hours for the school to release their kids.
Emotional reunions between students and parents at Jackson Memorial Middle School. Some parents told me they felt relieved, but frustrated.
What are we going to do after? So after everything's said and done, how are you releasing the students? Is it in an orderly fashion? Are parents sitting out here for 4 hours like we were?
The superintendent answering that question.
We made sure that we were releasing them to the appropriate adult. And that was a time-consuming process, but it's one, again, when we're talking about our safety of our students and staff.
He says the school will have a management meeting tonight to address how they handle the situation. And he says they have not yet made any decisions about plans for classes or extracurricular activities in the coming days.
It is a moving target. We continue to work together with law enforcement, and we will make sure that we communicate with our parents information when we're ready to do that.
Now, as far as the procedure and how everything went today, the superintendent did say they're going to thoroughly examine all of that going forward. And he says their main priority is the safety of the students and the staff. Live in Jackson Township, Brittany Bivens, Cleveland 19 News.
Now, listen, I don't, like, how many times do things like this have to happen before Black people start pulling their children out of these schools? This is the thing. Black people asked for integration, okay? They blindly asked to be integrated with the same people who were the descendants of the people who were slaving them, and then the immediate people who were lynching them and watching them be tortured and throwing up from trees for entertainment. Black people asked for this. Maybe not the people who are here now, but the reality is Black people now today want to be around white people. If they didn't want to be around them, they would seclude themselves. You have them shooting up schools on a daily basis and then murdering themselves in school as well. Your children are subjected to this, because the fact of the matter, if this person we already know is a white student, he was able to bring a rifle into school and he had what people suspected to be a bomb. Look, if you don't see whatever distraction device they're saying, like, what is a distraction device? Does anybody even know what that is? Because that can be a cell phone. So the reality is this dude came in here with a bomb and a rifle, probably planning to shoot up the school or bomb the school, saw that it was in lockdown and he couldn't do that, knew that he had a rifle on him as well as a bomb, and probably decided to just murder himself because that would be his only way out. Now, they've allowed this to happen while they demonize people and talk about Black on Black crime, and we allowed them to do it because nobody's willing to really put forth the honest discussion on why this is problematic. This is extremely problematic. It says schools in the Jackson local school district in Stark County are on lockdown after a 7th grade student shot himself on a middle school campus. Just before 8 a.m., a student shot himself in the men's restroom at Jackson Memorial Middle School, according to Jackson Township Police. The school is about 55 miles south of Cleveland. During a 2 p.m. news conference, authorities said a distraction device was found in the student's backpack. Now, that is a very vague description, and there's nothing, like, what, again, what is a distraction device? A distraction device will be something that can make some smoke or make a bang, said the Jackson Township Police Chief. A bomb was not found, police said. Well, it sounds like it was a bomb. No other weapons were found, authorities said. According to police, it's unknown if other students were involved and where the student obtained his weapon. Police say the boy was transported to a nearby by hospital. His condition is not known at this time. Scared son texts mom last wishes during lockdown after Ohio student shoots himself at Jackson Memorial High School. Police have not said if the shooting is accidental or intentional, but they are calling it self-inflicted. First of all, if a person brings a rifle to school, you can commit suicide at home. So if you take a rifle to school, you mean to shoot up the school. Then you found that it was on lockdown. So what you do is you go into the bathroom and you just shoot yourself. That's what makes sense to me. But again, because this is another white student, days after one already went and shot up 17 people, thereby him wanting to be the next shooter, the next initiator of white genocide, he went in the bathroom and decided to murder himself. That's what I believe happened. But again, they're going to hide these stories because white supremacy is imploding on itself. And they won't address it, and that's fine. They don't need to. Again, we don't really care whether they address it or not. That's on them. This isn't something that we're going through. This is what they're doing to themselves, and rightfully so. But they won't address it. They're not going to deal with it. They'll make excuses, and you can guarantee they'll ignore the fact that this is even a white student that did this. As a precautionary measure, 4 district elementary schools are closed today. The area high school is in the process of being evacuated. Also, all evening activities are canceled. Grief counselors will be available to students impacted by the incident. Now, although you can guarantee this is a predominantly white school, you can also guarantee that there was some black students there. And we know because the black mother just showed herself to be there. So how long are black people going to continuously send their children to these schools with white students where they're at risk of being the victim of a mass shooting? Now, people can sit here and throw out faulty statistics, but the reality is every time you see a mass shooting, regardless of where it's at, the perpetrator is white. That's no coincidence. That's called white culture. That's just the reality of what it is. Now, what black people need to do is, again, I'll say, pull your student or your kids out of this school. Pull your student, go on a campaign and tell them you're not going to have your children in school with white people where they're at risk of being subjugated to a mass shooting. Because that's really what it is. But black people don't want to take that seriously. They want to try to warn their children about everything except the very real threat of white supremacist terrorist males. And that is the biggest threat globally. Not just in this country, but globally. But you guys let me know what you think. I think, hey, like I said at the beginning of the video, another one bites the dust. But you guys let me know what you think. Thank you for your support. I'll see you in the next one.